In America, everyone counts, and the 2020 census is how that great promise is kept. Respond today online, by phone, or by mail, and help inform hundreds of billions in funding for education, health programs, and more. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov. Colby Covington, a UFC fighter who is an outspoken supporter of Donald Trump, engaged in a heated post-fight exchange with welterweight champ Kamaru Usman, who was born in Nigeria. Covington asked Usman if he got a call from his, quote, little tribe using smoke signals. He also described another fighter who is black and has been advocating for Black Lives Matter as a communist, a Marxist, and someone standing up for lifelong criminals. UFC President Dana White said his promotion will not muzzle anybody when he was asked yesterday about his early reaction. Joining me now is AJ Springer, a journalist and owner of Springer Communications, and Andreas Hale, senior editor for Combat Sports. So, AJ, I want to start with you. This guy, Colby, is known for making lots of racist comments. But for Dana White to say, I don't see anything racist in his comment, where he called Black Lives Matter called them a terrorist organization. What the hell?
I think this is one of those situations where racism is essentially the equivalent to calling somebody the N-word for Dana White. And anything shy of that, it's anything goes.
Andreas, but here's what's interesting. Endeavor was part of a group that bought the UFC for $4 billion 4 years ago. This is what they tweeted on May 31st. We stand with our black colleagues, clients, partners, and allies today and every day. We see you and are committed to taking actionable steps that bring lasting change. And the graphic is Black Lives Matter. Go back to it, guys. Go back to it. Go back to my iPad. Thank you. Black Lives Matter. Black voices matter. Black communities matter. Black culture matters. Clearly, none of that matters if Endeavor has said, and Ari Emanuel, the CEO, the brother of former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, has said nothing about Covington or Dana White.
It's all lip service.
We lost your audio there. Hold on one second. Andreas, hold on. We lost your audio. Guys, get it back.
Can you?
Andreas, unmute yourself. Make sure you're unmuted.
I'm unmuted.
Okay, now go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So what I was saying is, it's all lip service. If you look at, anybody can post a graphic, anybody can say Black Lives Matter. This is all lip service. When you're put to the fire and you have to really deal with somebody who is overtly racist, what are you going to do? And WME is doing nothing because it hurts their bottom line because they've invested so much money into the UFC. It's an unfortunate circumstance, but that's just the way it is. And that's what we've been looking at since this whole thing started back with George Floyd, where everybody posted a Black Lives Matter graphic. It's about action. It's not about logos. It's not about visuals. Do something about it.
And the thing is, this other fighter, again, I mean, this guy, just made some unbelievable nasty comments. AJ Springer, he's also been criticized by so many other folks. Now, here's what's funny. Colby Covington also said Tyrone Woodley stands with criminals, yet this is the same guy himself who was arrested for a DUI and then was arrested later for assault. Really?
It's hypocrisy to the highest order. And I think what the UFC and what Dana White would say is, we don't muzzle anybody. This is just to sell the fight. But what you're doing to sell the fight and what Colby is doing to sell the fight is blatant and overtly racism.
To also, first of all, here is some folks have actually shown. Here's actually what he said. Go ahead. Go to my iPad.
Fighting for equal rights and social justice. How are those the same?
Because he's standing up for lifelong criminals. The Black Lives Matter is a complete sham. It's a joke. They're taking these people that are complete terrorists. They're taking these people that are criminals. These aren't people that are hardworking Americans, blue-collar Americans. These are bad people. They're criminals, you know, and they shouldn't be attacking police. You know, if you're breaking the law and you're threatening the cops with weapons, you know, you deserve to get what you get. So, you know, that the law enforcement, you know, protects us all. You know, if we don't have law enforcement, it'd be the wild, wild west. So, you know, people need to go give a pat on the back to law enforcement every single day and thank them for keeping us all safe. Otherwise, you know, all these criminals will be running the streets wild, and none of us will be safe.
So you're saying that Tyron Woodley supports criminal behavior and encourages it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's a communist. You know, he's a Marxist. You know, he stands for criminals. You know, he hates America, and that's why he got broke tonight.
Understood. What makes him a communist? I don't understand how you arrived at that conclusion that he's a communist.
Because everything that he stands for, man, he stands for everything that is against America. He doesn't like America. He doesn't stand up for the rights of America. He doesn't stand up for law enforcement officers. He wants to defund the police. These are the same police that give him private security and him and his family, you know, daily. So, you know, now you want to vilify them and put targets on their back like LeBron James. You know, these guys are heroes, man. These guys are real celebrities. So, you know, we need to give a shout to law enforcement and stop trying to vilify them.
Well, and Andreas, and again, the thing for me is, you know, Dana White supports Donald Trump. Colby supports Donald Trump. I still say the Ari Emanuel and Endeavor, they can't also get away from this. I look at all of these different stories, and everybody keeps focusing on Dana White. I don't know why these media people forget that Dana White has a boss. Endeavor owns them. And Ari Emanuel and Endeavor has to say something because it's a contradiction and, yes, hypocritical for them to talk about black voices, black culture, Black Lives Matter, and to have an overt racist as one of their employees. They are paying him. And also, Disney and ESPN is throwing lots of money towards the UFC direction as well.
Yeah, I mean, first things first, what we just heard from Colby Covington is a man who has no idea what communism means, what Marxism means. These are all buzzwords for that man. He has no clue what he's talking about. He's pandering to a base and he's living a gimmick. Now, when we talk about WME and Endeavor, you're absolutely right. They should do something. But again, when it comes to money, people don't want to take that extra step. Things are racist until the money is green, and then they want to step back and say, look, you're making me a lot of money. I'm going to let you do what you want to do. But Dana White has stood on this platform for a long time. I mean, listen, the man spoke at the Republican National Convention, condemned the protest, has never said anything about police brutality in America. And when this is the only sporting organization that didn't release a statement supporting Black Lives Matter. NASCAR did. If NASCAR can't, why can't the UFC? So WME absolutely has to do something about this. Ari Emanuel can't sit on his hands any longer. He has to make a move.
AJ, go ahead. Final comment.
Absolutely. I agree with that. This has to go above the UFC, above Dana White. This is about the owners at this point. And if it's, you know, I guarantee you this line about not muzzling people, there is a line. This is not a free-for-all. You know, if a fighter were talking about the UFC, it'd be a totally different story. If we had somebody maybe talking bad about Jewish folks, this would probably be a different story, and we wouldn't be talking about people not being muzzled.
All right, gentlemen, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one round. As our community comes together to support the fight against racial injustice, I want to take a second to talk about one thing we can do to ensure our voices are heard. Not tomorrow, but now. Have your voices heard in terms of what kind of future we want by taking the 2020 census today at 2020census.gov? Now, folks, let me help you out. The census is a count of everyone living in the country. It happens once every 10 years. It is mandated by the U.S. Constitution. The thing that's important is that the census informs funding, billions of dollars, how they are spent in our communities every single year. I grew up in Clinton Park in Houston, Texas, and we wanted new parks and roads and a senior citizen center. Well, the census helps inform all of that and where funding goes. It also determines how many seats your state will get in the U.S. House of Representatives. Young black men and young children of color are historically undercounted, which means a potential loss of funding of services that helps our community. Folks, we have the power to change that. We have the power to help determine where hundreds of billions in federal funding go each year for the next 10 years. Funding that can impact our community, our neighborhoods, and our families and friends. Folks, responses are 100% confidential and can't be shared with your landlord, law enforcement, or any government agency. So please take the 2020 census today. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov.